I've basically had the same job for the last 35 years as a writer and a creative director in advertising. I start every morning with a blank piece of paper, and I try to fill it with something interesting. So I've had a lot of time to think about the question, where do ideas come from? And usually that question comes up about 2 hours before a deadline when we have no ideas whatsoever. But in observing creative minds at work, I think I've detected a pattern. And that is, it seems to me that the best ideas flow most freely from a process of intensive and immersive learning, followed by a willingness to unlearn. Now, people who've studied creativity and written about it come upon this idea of unlearning in different words and different phrases quite frequently. Picasso said, "Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up." Eckhart Tolle, the German writer and philosopher, said, "Every true artist, whether they know it or not, comes from a place of no mind." And Diesel Apparel, the clothing designer and manufacturer, summed it up in 4 words that I think first appeared on a T-shirt. They said, "Smart critiques, stupid creates." Now, I don't know if stupidity is the right word, but it seems to me that creative problem solving involves the ability to look at the world with a fresh, unschooled, unfettered mind, and as a blank slate. Now, that's not to suggest that every educated idea, random thought, irrational idea is by definition creative. Success comes, it seems to me, from toggling back and forth between expertise and purposeful naivete, learning and unlearning. Now, that's creative problem solving on a personal level. Every organization or institution has some form of problem solving, and usually it looks something like this. We collect data, we organize it into knowledge of some sort. That should lead to an insight, which is a springboard to a creative idea that helps us to creatively solve a strategic or tactical problem. And that's a perfectly valid and often successful way to work. However, and I'm sure a lot of you have had this experience, oftentimes, especially in larger organizations, this sort of linear, prescribed problem-forming solution becomes so calcified and so institutionalized that it actually squelches what it's supposed to foster, which is fresh, innovative thinking. And you see this happen in industries and businesses time and time again. I think I had this car in high school, by the way. It's why for years Detroit built unappealing cars that didn't really predictable, unappealing cars that didn't respond to consumer needs. It's why Hollywood continues to churn out formulaic movies and films. That was pretty bad, wasn't it? And why year after year in our schools we introduce curricula that fail to inspire our students. There's a dark side to narrow institutional knowledge and best practices, and that is it can become a trap and an echo chamber wherein the answer is predicted before the creative solving process ever begins. And these are the moments when we need to unlearn. So, what I'd like to do in the next few minutes is share with you 3 stories from my industry wherein unlearning has helped to unlock creative and innovative thinking. And I think you'll be able to see how it can be applied to your work and to your organizations. I love this cartoon because, to my earlier point, when institutions are faced with a truly new idea and a breakthrough idea, it often responds in this way. If it's so creative, how come I haven't seen it before? Those are the moments when we need to unlearn. So now let's talk about unlearning. Unlearning asks new questions. Oftentimes the problem isn't that our answers are pedestrian, it's that our questions are pedestrian. So unlearning it asks new and different questions that can unlock a whole new way of looking at the world. For years, the dairy industry promoted milk through health claims. Milk is rich in vitamin D. Milk builds strong bones. Milk is good for you. Calcium, therefore you should drink milk. Then a very smart advertising agency in California, could be Silverstein, asked a different question. Instead of asking the question, why is milk good for me? They said, what makes milk special and different and unique, appealing? The answer came back from research and social observation that there are certain times, certain food occasions, when only milk will do. Think of that fudge brownie, that big piece of cake, that chocolate chip cookie, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So that raised a new question. Got milk? And in that campaign, it's basically an appeal to shoppers to stock up on milk and make sure you have it on hand so that for those occasions when only milk will do, you won't run out. So that led to a campaign that you're probably all familiar with. We're going to look at one of those commercials in that series that actually helped decline, is credited with helping to halt the decline of sales of milk in the U.S.
And that was the Vienna Wood Dance in B, one of my all-time favorites. And now let's make that random call with today's $10,000 question. It's a tough one. Who shot Alexander Hamilton in that famous duel? All right, let's go to the phones and see who's out there. Hello, for $10,000. Who shot... Excuse me?
Hold on, let me take a look. No!
I'm afraid your time is almost up. I'm sorry, maybe next time.
Got milk.
The second point is that unlearning revels in the random. Our agency for years has promoted the Seattle Mariners, and the keystone of our campaign is really about telling little stories about the players, trying to connect the personality of players to the fans in some kind of emotional way where they feel they know these overpaid millionaires who perform on a baseball field every day. And so a few years ago, we had this phenomenon burst on the scene. A young shortstop who could do everything you could do on a baseball field: run, throw, hit with power. Plus, he was charming and handsome, and his name was Alex Rodriguez. This was back in the days when we liked Alex Rodriguez. But really, he was a young player and a phenomenon, and it was our job to tell a little story about Alex Rodriguez. So what we like to do in our agency is when we're working on a problem, is to just fill the wall with random thoughts and shards of information. So somebody mentioned that Alex Rodriguez is a baseball prodigy. So somebody wrote prodigy on the wall, and then someone wrote Mozart under that, who was a prodigy. Someone else put genius, and we put a list of geniuses, Shakespeare and Einstein. And then we put up phrases that apply to baseball. Turn two, a can of corn, hidden ball trick. So we had this kind of stew of randomness on the wall and stood back and found a very interesting and surprising connection between these seemingly random ideas. And this gave rise to a story about Alex Rodriguez called The Hidden Shakespeare Trick.
Hey, have you ever read The Merchant of Venice?
By Shakespeare?
Yeah, check this out. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath.
That's pretty. The Hidden Shakespeare Trick.
The Seattle Mariners. Ain't baseball great?
Works every time.
And finally, and I'm running out of time here, unlearning is fascinating with the wrong answers. If you're running a brainstorming session with a group or trying to you're stuck on a creative idea, try this. Intentionally come up with the wrong answer. A group of us were working on the Washington State Lottery account a number of years ago, and we're trying to break the mold of lottery advertising, which is basically buy a ticket, you'll be a millionaire tomorrow, and you'll live happily ever after. So we tried this technique which says, what if we tried to talk people out of buying lottery tickets? Let's come up with the wrong answer on purpose. So this led to a campaign called The Trouble with Money.
Presenting The Trouble with Money. Street performers.
I'll give you $10,000 to stop doing that.
All right.
We never said being a millionaire was going to be easy.
Go away!
A bit of unlearning there, the notion that if you come up with the wrong answer, it might put you in a very surprising and interesting place. So I think that's about it for my time. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I hope you unlearned something of value today. Thanks.